And we're live. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Let me go open up stream. Plop there. We'll go plop this here. There we go. So I want to start in about 2 minutes. Hello, everybody. I'm Math Geek. I'm Curl, and I'm going to be taking the GMATs. Last week I took the LSATs and did pretty well. And as such, I felt that it'd be interesting for me to continue with the, the idea of taking these tests more. It's a pretty interesting. Ooh, should probably actually edit this slightly. What was on let me edit it? Oh, off the top a little bit less. There we go, just so it's a bit cleaner. But yeah, I thought it'd be interesting to try taking the GMAT for business majors, basically. I took the LSAT for law majors, and now I'm doing this for business majors. I figured that the LSAT was probably easy enough to take, and I have enough experience in the fields relevant for business. Got a little bit of studying economics, got a little bit of studying mathematics, that I should be able to take this and do pretty well. I have no idea what the test is going to require of me, and I did not look anything up ahead of time, so we're going to jump directly into it in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Uh-oh. Whoopsies. That's the... There we go. The GMAT official practice test, or official practice exams, are a simulation of the real GMAT exam. Whether you do the same serving as the actual GMAT exam, there are some differences between the practice exams and the real exam, which are detailed. Whoops, sorry, I gotta do this. Which are detailed on the following screens. We recommend that all test takers review the tutorial content provided with the practice exam at least one time within 30 days of your exam day, so information stress in your mind. I have not looked at any practice exam stuff ahead of time. I've not done any research. I've looked into basically to see. I did like one like a 9-question test online just to see like would this be something that would be interesting? Is it something that I have enough experience to do? And the answer is yes. But I've otherwise looked nothing into this. Click next to continue. Oh, it's along the bottom. Okay, so I'm going to have to resize this dramatically. We're going to do center vertically. I've got no idea if they're going to be cutting off the sides here. Okay, so I actually do have to do that. Okay, so let's resize this somewhat. Make this so that this fits. I didn't expect it to open another window. Another window. There we go. Okay, so you should be able to see it all. Before beginning the GMAT exam, you'll be presented with an exam checking confirmation, candidate name confirmation, and welcome screens. You'll be required to read and accept the GMAT exam non-disclosure agreement and general terms of use. I have not paid for anything. This is a practice, so it's fine. Difference between GMAT official practice exams and GMAT exam. The optional break screens are not timed in GMAT official practice exams, but are timed to the actual GMAT exam. For information about length of optional breaks, refer to WNBA.com. or MBA.com during the actual GMAT exam. If you exceed the time allowed for an optional break, extra time used will be deducted from time available to complete the next section of the exam. The Save for Later button is available in practice exams, but not during the GMAT exam. The Pause button is available in practice exams, but not available during the GMAT exam. After completing a GMAT official practice exam, you will see section scores for the data insights, quantitative reasoning, and verbal reasoning sections. Keep in mind the GMAT official practice exams are meant to illustrate GMAT content and are accurate predictors of performance on the GMAT exam. Please note if you are, whatever. If you are planning on taking the GMAT exam delivered online, there's additional steps you need to take to ensure your computer meets the minimum requirements to help ensure you have a smooth testing experience. For more information, please visit the Plan for Exam Day for the GMAT exam delivered online at MBA.com. Browser back button will not work during practice exams. Use the Save for Later option to navigate out of the exam. Click Next to continue. The following tutorial section will walk you through the navigation of screens and provide some helpful reminders. We remind that all test takers review the tutorial content provided with the practice exam at least once. When you take the GMAT exam, you'll have 2 minutes to review the information of the tutorial before beginning the exam. If you have timed accommodation, your extra time is noted on the clock timer in the upper right-hand corner. The GMAT official practice exam tutorial is on time, so you may want to spend extra time reviewing the tutorial screens. So I want to time myself for exactly 2 minutes. In the time section of the exam, you can see the your time remaining time section is upper right corner by that. Below the time remaining, you will see 2 of 7. This indicates you're getting the second of 7 questions or screens. You can minimize the time remaining and the question numbers provided by clicking on them. To restore them, click on that and that icons. When you have 5 minutes remaining, you'll see the alert message notifying you the time section. Okay. You can bookmark a question for review by clicking on that bookmark icon. The question is bookmark. The icon will be filled in. Click this icon will remove a bookmark. On each screen, the navigation buttons and functions can be selected by clicking the appropriate buttons with the mouse, using the tab key, using the shortcut. I'll be using the mouse. Okay. You must select an answer to each question before moving on to the next question. No skipping. You can bookmark questions to move through them to mark for review after you complete all the questions in a section. Note that in some sections of the GMAT exam, certain parts of the question may remain the same through multiple questions. For example, visual, graphics, or text passages. If you finish all the questions in a lot of tests for a time, your score will reflect a penalty for not finishing the section. Ooh, geez. At the end of the section, you can review as many questions as you would like and add up to 3 answers within the section's allotted time. You can only edit 3 answers? That is dumb. Bookmarking questions during the exam can make a question. Okay, but once you answer all questions section, proceed to the question review and edit screen for that section. You can review and edit your answers. There's no time remaining section. You will proceed to the question review. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. Here's a numbered list of section questions that indicate question you bookmark. You click on any question number to review that question. When your review is complete, if you do not wish to review or edit any items in a section, you can click the End Section Review button to proceed. Understand? If you edit an answer, when you click the Confirm Answer button, you'll be prompted to confirm your answer before proceeding. Sure. You'll have 1 optional break. You may take after the first exam or after the second section. So after the first section or after the second section. If you take your break after the first section, you will not have the option to take another break after the second section. These are the breaks of the GMAT official practice exam are not timed. However, they will be timed in the GMAT exam. If you take 10 minutes for your break, if you have a break-related accommodation, they may be approved for an additional 10-minute break. Your camera must remain on during the entire break. I'm turning on my camera, but whatever. The break time includes time required to recheck into the exam. Please keep this in mind as you plan your break. If you exceed the allotted time, the extra time will be deducted from the next exam section. If you are taking an online exam using approved physical erasable whiteboard, it must be completely erased and shown to the camera before you leave for break. You must leave the whiteboard at your workstation during the break. As a reminder, your break time includes the time to recheck in with the test administrator. If you exceed the allotted break time, the extra time will be deducted from the next section. Sure. Yep, obviously. All questions contained in the GMAT exam are confidential proprietary materials of the GMAT. Penalties for cheating on the GMAT exam are severe. How do you want to take your test free? Take the test from someone else. Memorize test questions. Sharing answers with others. Consider cheating. This is not the GMAT exam though. This is a practice exam, which means this is fine. If you're taking the GMAT exam online, you may use an approved physical erasable whiteboard during the section. If you are using an approved whiteboard, you must completely erase the whiteboard at the start of and end of your exam before your optional break. You should take one. If you're taking an online exam, you'll be required to show your blank physical whiteboard to the camera at the end of these points as directed by the on-screen prompts. Failure to comply could result in your exam being terminated, your score being canceled, and/or other consequences. The order in which the exam sections are to be administered. 6 different section orders are order options are presented below. Once you select your section order, you must review all questions in each section. In the order you selected before moving on to the next section, you'll be able to return to the screen. I want to do verbal reasoning first, and then let's do verbal reasoning, data insights, and quantitative reasoning. Now let's do verbal reason. Let's do verbal VQD. Let's do VQD. Data insights will be the one I'll be the best at. It'll be the easiest at the end of the exam. I'll start with the ones that'll have the biggest difficulty at the beginning when I'm full fresh brained, you know? You take the GMAT exam, you'll have specific amount of time to review these instructions. Time, you might want to spend some reviewing it. You're about to start the verbal reasoning section of the exam. You'll have 45 minutes to complete the section, including reviewing and editing answers. If you have a timed accommodation, your extra time will be noted on the exam clock timer in the upper right-hand corner. Section you'll be presented with 23 questions. If there are two types of questions in the verbal section, critical reasoning and reading comprehension. Give me a second. There we go. For each question, select the best answer of the choice given. At any point, you can read the questions by clicking on Help. Each of the critical reasoning questions are based on a short argument, a set of statements, or a plan of action. Each of the reading comprehension sections is based on the content of a passage. After reading the passage, draw questions pertaining to it, or based on what is stated or implied in the passage. Oh, we're starting. Okay, cool. You can't see up top, but it's 45 minutes, so I'm actually gonna... fuck. I wish it had shown a bit cleaner. I'm just going to quickly see if I can get the search split is OEM plus. Timer live split. You can see it down there. Okay, I'm going to whomp. A little bit weird. That's fine. Okay, there we go. The rate of new drug development in Nation X has changed little over the last decade, even though over the same period the cost of developing a new drug has increased significantly. The patient system in Nation X, because it insulates drug developers from various market pressures, can be expected to produce a sort of cost explosion. You know what? I'm actually going to do this and this to make it bigger and easier for y'all to see. Clean. Okay, the rate of new drug development in Nation X has changed a little over the last decade, even though over the same period this cost of developing new drugs has increased significantly. The rate of new drug development hasn't changed, even though it's more expensive. The patent system in Nation X, because it insulates drug developers from various market pressures, uses it to produce a sort of cost explosion. This patent protection allows firms to sell a drug at several times its free market price for many years, as pharmaceutical companies have no incentive to minimize research costs, greatly limiting the duration of these patent protections or promote more cost-efficient new drug development. In the proposal above relies on which of the following assumptions. Nation X tried patent protections create impediments to development of new drugs. If the prices of newly developed drugs were subject to market pressures sooner, companies would have a greater incentive to minimize research costs. I think that's true. If the prices of newly developed drugs were subject to market pressure sooner, pharmaceutical companies would have greater incentive to increase the number of drugs they develop. No. Yeah, that will be the case. They should have patents to cost of pharmaceutical companies exacerbate their costs to consumers. No. The prices of newly developed drugs are subject to market pressures sooner. Pharmaceutical companies would have a greater incentive to develop the most medically necessary new drugs. No, I think that's the answer. Yes. Sports team owner. Government antitrust regulations are designed to prevent one business from gaining an excessive advantage over others. Such regulations are primarily intended to help consumers by ensuring healthy competition, which ultimately affects consumer prices. But in the case of professional sports teams, which are business enterprises, sports competition is their main product and thus an essential part of their business competition. Delivering exciting competition on the field of play is needed to help the teams profit from media, broadcast rights, and sales of branded sports items. Thus, no antitrust regulations are needed to ensure healthy business competition among professional sports enterprises. The sports team owner's argument is most vulnerable to criticism on the grounds that they also consider that government regulation of competition occurs in some businesses that provide services rather than manufacture goods. No. Concludes only from the claim that one aspect of professional sports teams competition requires no antitrust regulation, that no other aspect of the business does. That's true. Fails to consider that government antitrust regulations are primarily intended to be in the interest of consumers rather than the interest of businesses regulated. Not relevant, I don't think. Presumes without providing justification that a professional sports team can gain a significant business advantage through consistently strong competition in sports events. Not sure about that one. Maybe that one. Makes no distinction, explicit or implicit, between team-based sports competition and other types of sports competition. Concludes only from the claim that one aspect of professional sports team competition requires no antitrust regulation. The other aspect does. Yeah, I think that's the correct answer. I'm pretty confident about that one. Next. Yeah. According to the technocentric approach, the passage suggests that proponents of organization-centered approach most likely offer which of the following explanations for the problem noted in the banking industry. Okay. According to the technocentric approach, the model that shaped the early stages of computerization of work, the implementation of technology in the workplace is primarily a technical issue. The goal of technological change is to increase efficiency by mechanizing production and reducing labor costs, and the design of technology is the responsibility of computer specialists. This approach is predicated on a traditional hierarchical workplace with a top-down decision-making structure. However, the technocentric approach has frequently hindered successful implementation of technology. For example, in the banking industry, a technocentric approach to computerization decreased employee morale while failing to increase productivity. In addition, the global economy has rendered obsolete the traditional model of efficiency underlying the technocentric approach. Success is now founded not on mass production and traditional workplace structures, but on decentralized decision-making, a broad distribution of skills within an organization, and increased worker initiative. Thus, the organization-centered approach to technological change is generally preferable. According to this approach, worker participation is vital. People who actually do the work to be automated are seen as crucial sources of information during technological implementation. Although the organization-centered approach is based on the sometimes faulty assumption that workers and managers share a consensus about their goals and interests, worker participation in technology implementation can lead to better work quality work and improved worker satisfaction. Okay. The process of implementing new technology failed to include adequate worker participation. Yeah, that's exactly what it's saying. Types of industry that were used in the initial computerization of the banking. No. The process of computerization created a hierarchical relationship between managers and workers. I mean, that's true, but that's not the explanation. The nature of the banking industry is such that implementation of technology is less likely to increase productivity in this industry than other industries. No. Banking industry's computerization is based on the mistaken assumption that workers and managers agree on their goals and interests. No, it's the process of implementing new technology failed to include adequate worker participation. That was the whole thing, as the opposite is that worker participation is vital. Yeah, that's the... Yep. According to the technocentric approach, it's the same thing. The passage mentions all of the following disadvantages of the technocentric approach, except it's based on a traditional model of efficiency. It does affect on the employees' attitudes, yes. It can rely on decentralized decision-making within a company. No. It does not take into account the global economy. What? Failed to increase productivity. Yeah, so it's either 1, 3, or 4. But... Oh, traditional hierarchical workplace with the... Okay. So that's what I think it is. So decentralized decision-making within a company or does not take into account the global economy. In addition, the current global economy has rendered obsolete the traditional model of efficiency, so it relies on decentralized decision-making within a company. Is now founded not on mass production and traditional workplace structure, but on decentralized decision-making. Wait. Failing to increase productivity does not take into account the global economy has rendered obsolete the traditional model of efficiency. It's based on the traditional model of efficiency. Underlying the technocentric approach. It doesn't have about attitudes here, though. That's what it says down here, right? Decrease employee morale. But all of these, okay. Now, the following disadvantages. Doesn't say that that's actually a disadvantage. The global economy has rendered obsolete the traditional model of efficiency. I don't know about this one. We're going to bookmark this one and come back to it later. The passage says the following about the traditional model of efficiency mentions the highlighted text. It's largely incompatible with the technocentric approach. No, that the traditional model of efficiency is the technocentric approach. It needs to be used in the banking industry. It evaluates efficiency using the standards match production. It prompted the division of workers and managers into a hierarchical relationship. is outmoded due to increased productivity of today's skilled workers. Mass production of traditional workplace structures. So the traditional model of efficiency was mass production of traditional workplace structures. It evaluates efficiency using the standard of mass production. Yeah, found not a mass production. That's what I think it's talking about here. Yep. These photographs of the planet Venus have revealed long lines that appear to be the result of massive streams of lava from the volcanic eruptions. However, the lines cannot have originated from lava flows. Some of these lines are over 1,000 miles long, and recently acquired evidence shows that the surface temperature of Venus is not high enough to allow molten lava to travel much more than 200 miles before solidifying. For evaluation of the argument, it would be most useful to determine whether craters formed by meteor impacts on Venus could have some of the lines shorter than originally were. The photographs of Venus reveal some mountain peaks that could have been formed by volcanic eruptions. There still exist active volcanoes on Venus that could cause new lava flows to occur. Mountain ranges might have prevented lava flows from extending further than they would have if they had like obstructions. Sometimes lines are formed, the surface of Venus is closer to the temperature which lava else than it is now. That would be most likely to determine if that's true. It says that might be the case right now, but at the time the lines were formed, it might have been hotter. Yeah. Archaeologists have long debated what caused the Neolithic Revolution. The major changes that occurred when large numbers of prehistoric human beings began to give up the nomadic life in favor of settling in villages and farming. One view, the marginality hypothesis, maintains that early human beings would have lived in regions where hunting and gathering were best. As populations increased, however, so would competition for resources, leading some people to move to neighboring regions where domesticating plants and animals would be necessary for survival, which the following are true represent the most serious challenge to the marginality hypothesis. Okay. Early humans would have lived in regions where hunting and gathering is best. But as populations increased, so competition for resources would increase, which means that you need to domesticate plants and animals. Okay, which represents the most serious challenge. The earliest farmers subsisted on diets that consisted of equal portions of food gathered through agricultural hunting gathering activities? No. In the earliest agricultural settlements, the community's crops were often located many miles from its members' living quarters? No. Some of the regions that were optimal for hunting and gathering activity would not have been optimal for plant and animal domestication. Maybe, but not really, because you could just move, right? Move to neighboring regions, so that's not correct. Some archaeologists believe that 3,000 years prior to the advent of agriculture, some humans lived in year-round permanent settlements by supporting themselves by hunting and gathering. No. Evidence suggests that at the beginning of the Neolithic Revolution, regions where plant and animal domestication began had optimal conditions for hunting and gathering. That's where I would see, because it would be saying that they would be leaving the optimal conditions for hunting and gathering to go to regions where plant and animal domestication began. The big thing here would be about they would be moving to neighboring regions where plant animals will be necessary for survival. But if they go to a place that where plant animal domestication had begun, they would still have optimal conditions for hunting and gathering, so that wouldn't be a pressuring factor. Carbon dioxide has been increasing since 1700, but the amount of CO2 produced in that time by burning fossil fuels should have resulted in a much greater increase than is being observed. Applied ecologist Alan O'Clair claims that the woodlands of the northern hemisphere have been acting as a carbon sink, absorbing carbon from the atmosphere and turning it into wood. O'Clair uses measurements of factors affecting the area and density of a forest, such as logging fires and pests, and estimates the tree growth rates to argue estimates of tree growth rates to argue that increases in the growth rates of individual trees in these forests in 1920 have created a large volume of wood that accounts for the missing carbon. To determine whether the woodlands as a whole are releasing or absorbing carbon, the volume of wood added to the woodlands must be compared to the wood lost. O'Clair's analysis of the past 100 years shows that woodlands changing from a carbon source to a carbon sink. Before 1890, northern woodlands were a source of CO2 mainly because of their forest fires and logging. Such deforestation releases CO2 because debris from the forest floor rots more quickly when the trees are cleared. After 1920, the steep increase in tree growth rates surpassed the losses stemming from fire and logging, turning the northern forest from a carbon source into a carbon sink and storing CO2 from fossil fuels over the last 50 years. Before from the passage that the northern woodlands would be more likely to function as the carbon source, of which the following would occur. Vegetation regrowing on land from which trees have been cleared grew back fast enough to absorb as much CO2 as released by direct deforestation. Debris from the forest floor rotted less quickly after the rate of tree growth increased. A significant increase in number of pests that destroyed trees caused an increase in tree loss. Pollution resulting from fossil fuels provided trees with extra nutrients, thus increasing the rate of their growth. A decrease in temperature caused a significant decrease in the number of fires in the northern woodlands. More likely to function as a carbon source, which is the following were to occur. So something that would prevent forest fires. So that would be the case, right? Same thing. If we infer from the passage that Oak Cliffs claim about carbon and the northern woodlands would be most seriously undermined, of which the following were true. The northern woodlands functions as a carbon source rather than a carbon sink prior to 1890. Yeah. The rate of tree growth in the northern woodlands increased throughout the 20th century. No. The northern woodlands absorbed larger amounts of carbon after 1920. No. During the 20th century, the total volumes of wood lost to rot or fire in the northern woodlands exceeded increases in wood volume. Yeah. So this is actually what it says, right? Yeah, so that's what it actually says. Sorry. The northern woodlands lost trees to forest fires along in the early 20th century. So no, it would be the... Yeah, definitely be that. Okay, cool. Same thing. The passage is primarily concerned with refuting a claim about the cause of phenomenon, presenting an analysis of common natural process, presenting an explanation for a puzzling phenomenon, evaluating the methodology used in a recent study, or contrasting two explanations of an unexpected phenomenon. It's explaining for why something weird is happening. Presenting an analysis of a common natural process, which is also true, but it's explaining why something is happening. I'm not confident of this one, though. We'll come back to it later. In a 10-year study, one group of volunteers were given a medical screening for a disease X every year, whereas an otherwise similar group of the same size was only screened for disease X at the end of the study. 9% of the first group were diagnosed with the disease X during the study and received treatment, but only 6% of the second group were diagnosed with disease X when they received the screening at the end of the study. The research concluded that during the 10-year period, disease X must have been disappeared. The medical treatment in some individuals in the second group. That's weird. So in order to evaluate the strength of researchers' reasoning, which would be most helpful to know which of the following? Whether there were statistically significant lifestyle differences between the individuals who were diagnosed with disease X and those who were not? Maybe. How many people volunteered for the study because they would have especially high risk for disease X? No. How long it takes to be treated for disease X? Whether volunteers were told what disease they were being treated for? How frequently on average the medical screening used in studies produces erogenous disease of disease X? Erroneous diagnosis of disease X. That would be the most helpful, because if they were doing it every year, if they were the same size group, then you'd have 10 times as many researchers, 10 times as many tests being done, right? So that has to be the biggest thing, right? The extinct earliest known ancestor of the cheetah, a large cat now found in Africa, lived only in what is now Western North America, where the two continents were conjoined. As fossil skeletons found in North America, but nowhere else indicate. That ancestor shared certain skeletal features with the cheetah, but with no other cat. If all the information above is true, which the following hypothesis is most strongly support. The cheetah, because of certain distinctive skeletal features, is an efficient predator. The outward appearance of an animal can be reconstructed from a skeletal structure. The cheetah skeletal structure has been unchanged since prehistoric times. Not quite, but the ancestor of the cheetah has relatively few non-skeletal features in common with the modern cheetah. The cheetah or an ancestor of it migrated to what is now Africa from what is now North America. Yeah, it seems like it would probably be that. The structure is made relatively unchanged since prehistoric times. So definitely not that. Definitely not that. Definitely not that. I guess no, so it has to be this. That's the only thing that makes sense. It can be inferred from the passage that the author would more likely to agree with which of the following statements about organizational culture. Okay. We're about half done this test, and we got tons of time. Many companies today are making new product development a central element of their competitive strategy, because the potential benefits of successful product innovation are great, prolonged growth, superior financial returns, and strong investor interest. Many companies offer employees incentives such as promotions and bonuses for developing new products. Incentives not offered for innovations in other areas of the business. Firms' priorities can also be shaped by their measurement systems, since these systems can directly measure returns from new products more immediately than they can measure returns from investments in such areas as organizational restructuring or innovations in marketing. But the organizational culture of such companies can hurt them in the marketplace, because a narrow focus on product development can ultimately detract from a firm's performance. For instance, a company's ability to profit from new products can be severely hampered. It was neglected other functions and business processes. If a company develops a superior new product but is unable to distribute and promote it rapidly, competitors with better distribution systems may copy the product and introduce it into the market before the innovator can profit from its innovation. In contrast, effective distribution, marketing, and accounting systems, that is, strong overall business systems, can act as entry barriers, deterring what would-be competitors from entering a particular market. It may infer from the passage the author would be more likely to agree with which of the following statements about organizational culture. Oh, God. Organizational culture is a primary determinant of a market's competitive position in a given market. Many companies' organizational cultures are such that employee contributions in certain areas might enhance those companies that are competitive are not rewarded. The narrowness of many companies' organizational cultures is evident in those companies' failure to reward sufficiently those companies who also new products. It seems like the bigger thing is that it's saying... No, I don't think that's saying that this is not good enough. Company's organizational culture is likely to undergo significant change if the company is able to develop a new product and market it successfully. The nature of a company's organizational culture tends to be more evident in its distribution system than its degree of commitment of new product development. So basically, focusing on product development at the expense of other important things you need in order to make the product successful can be a problem. But companies right now using organizational culture as a primary... Okay, so this is not correct. Many companies' organizational cultures are such that employee contributions in certain areas might enhance the company's competitiveness and not rewarded. No. Or, that's probably true about non-product things. That's probably what it's going for here. There are so many companies' organizational culture is evident in those companies' failure to reward sufficiently those employees who help to develop successful new products. No. A company's organizational culture is likely to undergo significant change if the company is able to develop new products and market successfully. No. The nature of a company's organizational culture tends to be more evident in its distribution system than the degrees of commitment to the market. Literally the exact opposite. Actually, it more evident. I think we're probably going for this one, but many companies' organizational cultures are such that employee contributions to certain areas that might enhance the company's competitiveness are not rewarded. Yeah, incentives not offered in innovations in other areas of the business. I think that's what they're going for here. Yeah. The primary purpose of this passage is to explain why, a way in which a particular aspect of organizational culture affects employees' performance. No. Explain why new product development confers less advantage on companies than in the past, potentially. Are there particular strategies for enhancing a company's position against competitors may prove unsuccessful? Yeah. about because you might not have enough yet. Argue that a company's organizational culture may be more important than its competitive strategy in ensuring financial success? No. It's a way in which companies can increase their profits without developing new products. Not quite. I think that a particular strategy for enhancing a company's position against competitors may prove unsuccessful, which would be product development, right? Because it would be unsuccessful if you don't, distribute and produce it and promote it. So I think that's what we're going for here. The passage suggests which of the following about companies' investment in the development of new products. Heavy investment in the development of new products is a less risky business practice than most business leaders believe. Companies might invest less heavily in the development of new products if a company executives felt equally able to measure the results of investments in all areas of business innovation. Maybe that's probably a pretty solid one. Companies are most likely to focus their investment on the development of new products if they perceive competitors to lack strong overall business systems. No. While investment in the development of new products can bring greater returns to companies, then can investment in other areas of business. The benefits are usually short-lived. Yeah, it's only they're usually short-lived. Actually, yeah, that's probably true. Because they can profit from its innovation before the investor can profit from its innovation. That is true. It's generally more expensive for companies to invest in development of new products than to invest in such things as organizational research. Okay, so I think that's what we're going for here. Under laboratory conditions, fruit flies can learn to respond to odors that elicit no response from them in nature. Mutant fruit flies that cannot produce a certain enzyme are, however, incapable of such learning. These mutant flies respond to other odors just as ordinary fruit flies do. Thus, it is unlikely that an enzyme's absence impairs fruit flies' perception of odors, since, presumably, fruit flies would not have an enzyme that was needed only for the perception of odors that fruit flies do not respond to in nature. Instead, what the enzyme's absence probably impairs is a fruit fly's ability to learn, since many researchers believe this enzyme is somehow involved in the process of forming memories. The argument given to the two bold-faced portions play which part of the following roles? It's the hypothesis and a supporting element. The first evidence that is being used to corroborate a judgment that the argument contends is false. Oh, no, so... Fruit flies would not have an enzyme that was needed only for the perception of odors that fruit flies do not respond to in nature. That's an assumption that seems reasonable. And then they suggest that the hypothesis is that it impairs the fruit ability to learn. And they add a belief that supports it. First evidence that being used to corroborate a judgment, the second is false, the second is that judgment. Yeah. The first is evidence that supports that the judgment, i.e., the enzyme is used in the process of memories, that the argument contends is false. The argument being... Oh, no, because the argument is... This is the argument. Okay. First is an explicit assumption that's introduced in argument for the position the argument adopts. Second provides the evidence to support the position no. There's no justification for an assumption that's like explicitly made in the argument section states that assumption. Yeah, the assumption is that and this enzyme is involved in the process of forming memories. That's the assumption is what we're not sure about right now. Yeah, I think that's correct. But so the first boldface line is our reasoning for why this enzyme creates memories. Why this enzyme exists or what it does, right? It's some kind of external reasoning. And the bottom is saying that it's making an assumption that it's involved in the process of forming memories. It's just, yes, that would make sense. According to a recent large-scale survey of people who have purchased new home exercise equipment during the past 5 years, 10% of motorized treadmills purchased during that period had required repairs more than once, whereas only 2% of non-motorized treadmills had ever needed repair. Therefore, people who want to buy a treadmill for regular workouts can rely on having their routine disrupted far less often than they buy a non-motorized rather than motorized treadmill, which is the following assumption on which the argument depends. Non-motorized treadmills provide at least a good worker for those. That's not what it's saying. It's saying about routine disruption. At least many people in the survey had purchased motorized treadmills as purchased non-motorized treadmills. No, because it's percents. 10 versus 2%. No, it does not matter. Skill doesn't matter. Motorized treadmills do not generally take longer to repair than non-motorized treadmills. No, because it's about disruption frequency, not duration to repair. People who have bought treadmills are not far more likely to use them regularly over the long term if they're motorized than non-motorized. People who purchase new treadmills within the past year are not far more likely than people who purchase motorized treadmills. People who bought treadmills are not far more likely to use them regularly over the long term if they are motorized than they are not motorized. So the idea that it's possible that people who bought treadmills are far more likely to use them regularly if they're motorized, and as a consequence, could be why they need repair more often, or yeah. So I think that's yeah, or have the routine disrupted less often. Oh gosh, okay. I'm glad we did this first, right? This would be really tiring at the end. Now that companies can quickly obtain goods, information, and technology from around the world, conventional wisdom about how companies compete has been questioned. In theory, more open global markets and faster transportation could diminish the role of location in competition. A generation ago, the importance of location to company success was widely recognized. Because success was determined largely by the cost of inputs, such as raw materials and labor, locations with some important endowments, such as natural harbor or a supply of inexpensive labor, could offer significant competitive advantages. Now it is argued availability of inputs locally is no longer a source of competitive advantage, since any company can obtain these inputs efficiently from a distance through global markets. Instead, competitive advantage today supposedly is gained through continuous innovation and the efficient use of inputs, factors that have conveniently been seen as independent of location. But if location matters less, what accounts for geographic clusters of unusually competitive businesses in particular fields, such as the leather fashion industry in northern Italy. Clusters are concentrations of competitors in a given industry and other entities important to that industry, such as suppliers of components, machinery, and services. Many clusters include other institutions, universities, think tanks, and trade associations that provide specialized training, information, and technical support. Being part of a cluster allows companies to obtain more inputs more efficiently. For example, companies in thriving clusters can tap into an existing pool of specialized employees, thereby lowering their recruiting costs. A well-developed cluster also provides an efficient means of obtaining other important inputs because it encourages the local development of a deep and specialized supplier base. Obtaining inputs locally instead of from distant suppliers lowers transaction costs in many cases. Of course, a cluster also fosters competition among its constituent businesses, a fact that might seem to offset the advantages of cluster membership. Competition for resources among cluster constituents might be expected to render those resources more scarce and therefore more expensive. But companies do have the alternative of obtaining many inputs from distant locations, encouraging local suppliers to offer competitive prices. Furthermore, clusters increase not only the demand for specialized inputs, but also the supply of them. Competition among cluster constituents then encourages the innovation that keeps continuing companies competitive in the larger business arena. These the following is a phenomenon associated with cluster inputs, except cluster affect not only the demand for inputs, but also the supply of inputs. Correct. Clusters tend to lower the cost of recruiting qualified workers because the clusters encourage the development of specialized labor pools. I don't remember seeing that. Competition between local suppliers and distant suppliers of inputs to cluster constituents encourage local suppliers to hold down prices. Yes. To penetrate a cluster market, distant suppliers of inputs needed by cluster constituents sometimes offer those materials at prices lower than those of clusters' local suppliers. It doesn't specify that, right? A well-developed cluster also provides an efficient means of obtaining other important inputs because it encourages the local development of a deep and specialized supplier base. Obtaining inputs locally instead of from distant suppliers lowers transaction costs in many cases. That's local. A cluster also forms competition with constituent businesses, affected by companies do have the alternative of obtaining many inputs from distant locations, encouraging local suppliers to offer competitive rates. It doesn't say anything about to penetrate the cluster market, anything about that at all. Yes, I think that's correct. Okay, according to the Bachelor, the competitive success of companies in the past was more independent of labor costs than the success of companies today, partially dependent by companies' ability to form alliances with certain related industries, mistakenly believed to be dependent on companies' access to certain kind of local endowments, significantly affected by the price the companies had to pay for inputs. What it seems like. Yeah, discussions determined largely by the cost of inputs. That's just explicitly what it says there. Which following does not provide an illustration of the advantages of clusters as described in the passages. Which of the following does not provide an illustration of the advantages of clusters as described in the passages? Several manufacturers of shipping containers located. So I actually need to take a break just to let me just clear my head for a moment because I'm having actual difficulties now processing this because it's really complicated. Okay. Several manufacturers of shipping containers located near a natural harbor are readily able to acquire qualified workers from a local labor pool. That's the good thing. Yes, that's true. Several furniture-making companies are located in a particular area where there are a number of textile mills that can offer a continuous supply of specialty fabrics. Yeah. Several restaurant supply companies located in a particular area develop increasingly efficient production processes in response to competition among those companies. Several companies that develop software located near a university with a thriving computer science department and thus have ready access to potential labor for specialized training. Yeah. Advanced communication technology allows several geographically dispersed pharmaceutical companies to obtain continuously updated information on research advances in a particular laboratory. That's just not about clusters, because it's all about location, right? Clusters are about location. That has nothing to do with location. It can be inferred that the author of the passage believes which of the following about the development of global markets and faster transportation. These developments tend to nullify the competitive advantages that might be expected to result from the growth of local supplier bases near clusters. Not nullify, but could be like, yeah, it's a little effect on the competitive success of businesses because the advent of clusters make companies' location look crucial to success. No. The developments are advantageous to certain cluster constituents because they foster price competition between the local suppliers and suppliers of inputs needed by those constituents. Yes. These developments are crucial to certain cluster continuous ability to achieve continuous innovation because they allow the to recruit specialized workers from the global labor pool. No. It's all about it'd be competitive prices, right? That's what they were saying down here. Those have greater impact on the company's ability to compete than be not long, but no. Yeah. A consulting firm compiles a yearly ranking of the world's leading companies according to the amount of money each spent on research. It has shown in the past that spending more on research has no correlation with better financial performance. But this year's study found that multinational companies that took a global approach to research financially outperformed those that can concentrate their spending on research in their home market. Which following statements is most strongly supported by information provided. The global approach to research has become necessary in order to achieve business financial success. No, to get more success. Companies seeking to improve their financial performance can usually do so by increasing their global research spending. That seems supported. Only the largest companies are able to provide sufficient research innovation to ensure a leading company's profitability. No, a company with low-ranking research spending may have better financial performance than a company with a high ranking. No, it's not about spending quantity, but it's about global versus home market. Company currently spending the most on research developments will be no. Okay, so I think it's doing something increasing the global research spending. Ancient Greek vase painting provides a consistent portrayal of satyrs, mythological part human creatures, as comic social creatures, fond of wine and given to excess. The statue known as the Barberini faun is notably different in its depiction. Although scholars agree that the figure is a satyr, the only indication of its wild or animal nature is its small tail. Apart from this, the figure appears to be a calm, solemn, well-muscled man who is situated in obvious isolation from others. The fact suggests that the statue portrays not just any satyr, but the satyr that King Midas captured by drugging his drink with a sleeping potion, which is following, if true, and most strength of the argument above. The location of the figure suggests it's vulnerable to attack. The satyr in the Midas myth is typically described as a serious and temporary creature. Grapes and ivy around the figure's head indicate association with wine. The depicted length of a satyr's shield not always implies satyr's tendency to success. The Barberini faun was discovered in the same area as vase painted with the scene from Midas myth. So it's different because that it's not wild, and it seems to be calm, solemn, and muscled. The satyr in the Midas myth is typically described as a serious temporary creature. Grapes and ivy around the figure's head indicates association with wine. The big length of satyr shields do not always symbolize satyr's tendency to excess, but the Barberini faun was the same as vase painted with the scene from myth. I think that's probably what we're going for here. Yes. Okay, so okay, let's review these questions here. All the following says disadvantages of the technocentric approach. So the global economy has rendered obsolete the traditional model of efficiency underlying the technocentric approach, which is now a downside. You have a negative effect on employees' attitudes. Decrease employee morale while failing to increase productivity. Relies on decentralized decision-making within a company. No. That's what now success is based on. Okay, so that's why I'm glad that I checked that. Yes, change answer. 10. See, it could... Yeah, this seems like it's providing an explanation for a puzzling phenomenon. That's what it seems like. I think this is all correct. That's actually, I'm going to end section review. So I'm going to do control reset. We're not going to do edit splits to be minus 45 minutes. Okay, continue exam. 45 minutes, okay. Putting on questions. All numbers used are real numbers. For problem-solving questions, figures are drawn as accurately as possible. Exceptions will be clearly noted. Lines shown as straight are straight, and lines that appear jagged are also straight. Okay. If x and y is greater than 0, which of the following must be negative? I think it's 1. 1 has to be that. Okay. No, because it could be a half, and yeah, so 1 does not have to be negative because x, so like, if y is very, very close to 0, sorry, no, if y is like 0.5, and x is just slightly bigger than 1.5, but then you cube it, it'll then be lower than y, so 1 does not have to be 1. X squared y minus x cubed x squared y minus x y squared. So y minus x, basically, with some factor added, multiplied into it. Well, y is less than x. So I think 2 has to be. Because you can factor out an x squared, and then say, okay, well, because that's positive, that can't do anything. You have y minus x. The only way it would be negative if y minus x was negative, but x is greater than y, which means y minus x has to be negative. In this case, you can factor out an xy in the front, and then you have x minus y, which is positive, so it's only 2. Bob expected to spend a total of $9 to buy a given amount of pasta salad at a fixed price per pound. But, okay, $9 to buy a given amount of pasta salad at a fixed price per pound. However, the price of the salad was 20 cents more per pound than Bob was expected. Consequently, he spent $9 and bought a half pound less of the salad. How much did Bob spend per pound of the salad? Okay, so the price was 20 cents more per pound, and he bought half a pound less. So every pound accounted for 20 cents less, and he bought half a pound less. So if it was $1.20 or $1.80, he would have anticipated, well, then he would have bought 5, yeah, so that would be 5 pounds. But he was anticipating to buy 5.5 at 1.6. And is that correct? 5.5 times 1.6 is 8.8, not 9. Then 1.85 per, he would do 9 divided by 1.85. Okay, so I'm going to pull up Paint real quickly so I can write down some of my logic I'm going to do. Add window capture, add existing. Oh, I don't have Paint, do I? Okay, great, new. Paint. Nope. Paint. Transform, edit, transform. Okay, so we're going to put this down here for some logical reasoning while we have some time. Okay, so we've got, he was expected to do S for, let's do N for price, NP, and so this is the expected, this was the amount he was expecting to pay equals 9, so times pounds he was expecting. But now we have N plus 0.2 times pound minus 0.5 equals 9. So these are equal to each other. This is NP minus 0. Or actually, it should be minus or plus 0.2p minus 0.5n minus 0.1 equals 9. Same as this. These are equal to each other. So we have this equals 0. So how much did Bob spend per pound for the salad is the final amount that he paid. So we're looking for N plus O2. So 1.6 and N is equal to, or actually, so, sorry, P is equal to 9 over N. So we could just substitute here, right? So we have 1.8 over N minus N over 2 equals 0.1. So if he ended up spending $2 on per pound on the salad, he was expecting to pay. Yeah, so $2. Okay, I think the answer is $2 because he bought. If it's $2, then that would be 4.5 pounds. But if it was $1.80, he'd be buying 5. Okay, so it's 2. Tracy, you're installing tile on the floor of a shopping center. Tracy installs 200 tiles per hour, and Lee installs 160 tiles per hour. So Tracy equals 200H. L equals 160H. Their hourly pay is proportional to the rate at which they install tiles. Tracy's hourly pay is what percentage is greater than Lee's hourly pay? 25%. If x is equal to root 25 over root 16, so x equals root 25 over 16, which equals to root 25 divided by root 16, which is equal to 5 over 4. Then the value of square root of 5 over x, well, it's 5 over 4, which means it's 20 over 5, which is root of 4, which is 2. Just m and n if 24 is divisor of m. So m mod 24 equals 0. And 36 is a divisor of n. What's the greatest integer that must be a divisor of m plus n? So we have 24m plus 36n. The greatest integer that must be a divisor of m plus n. 12, right? Because if it's like 48 and 36, the only divisor that they share in common is 12, but they're both multiples, so it has to be 12. Oh, of m plus n, sorry. That would be 12, 2m plus 3n. Yeah, because it could literally be 24 plus 36, and as we add on 36s, it would no longer be multiples of 60. If we add on 24s, it would no longer be multiples of 36. Adding them together, just 24 plus 36 cannot be a multiple of 24, so it has to be 12. Yeah. The range of for a set of measurements is 24.7. The range for a set of measurements is 24.7. So if each measurement and each of the adjusted measurements were divided by 10, what would be the range of the final set of measurements? What? Oh, the range. Okay, so we have, let's say it's 0 to 24.7. Then 6 were added to each of them. So now we have 30.7 and 6. And then divided by 10, 3.07 and 0.6. The new range between these are 2.47. Is that correct? Plus 6, yes, is correct. If 5 integers be selected at random without replacement from the list consisting of the 20 integers from 1 to 20, it's probably that 2 of the selected 5 integers will be 10 and 20. Well, we have 20 choose 5 options total. And then of the options that 2 of the selected integers are 10 and 20, we have 18 choose 3 times 5 choose 2. Because there's 5 choose 2 ways that you could pick 10 and 20. And then the other numbers are 18 choose 3. So we have that over this. So 20 choose 5 is 20 factorial over 15 factorial, 5 factorial. And that is divided by 18 factorial divided by 15 factorial 3 factorial times 5 factorial divided by 3 factorial 2 factorial. So we are going to have 20 times 19 on the top, because those are getting canceled out. This 15 canceled this 15 because they're both being divided on both sides. This 5 and this 5 get canceled out. So we have these are canceled out. And then on the bottom, we're going to have 3 factorial times 3 factorial, 2 factorial. Wait, did I do that wrong? So this is being divided on both sides, so we can just get rid of this on both sides. Oh, I was getting rid of this 5 incorrectly. So we cancel these out, and we have 20 times 19 divided by. These are being divided, so we'll go to the top. So we're going to have actually times 2 factorial times 3 factorial times 3 factorial divided by 2 times 5 factorial. So that would be 20 times 19 times 2 times 6 times 6 divided by 2 divided by 5 divided by 4 divided by 3 divided by 2. This is 1 and 114. That's seems wrong to me. We'll bookmark this one and come back later. My intuition is going to be something like 1 and 19, something like that. But oh, what was the last number I just had? 114. Divided by 2 again, because it could be, yeah, so I have 157. That's just what I put in here. I'm going to come back to this one. This one I have to put it, do a proper binomial evaluation. City A and City B are located 610 kilometers from each other on Highway X. So we have A to B is 610 kilometers. At 8 a.m., Alonso began driving along Highway X from City A to City B at an average driving speed of 90 kilometers per hour. So 8 a.m. at 90 kilometers an hour. At 9:30 a.m. on the same day, Ryan began driving along Highway X from City B to City A at an average driving speed of 100 kilometers an hour. So he's going this way. And at 9:30 at 100 kilometers an hour. How long in hours and minutes to the nearest minute did Ryan drive before meeting Alonso on Highway X? Well, at 9:30, he's traveled 135 kilometers. So, 610 minus 135 is 475. And they're closing in at each other at 190 kilometers per hour. So 475 divided by 190 is 2.5. So 2 hours and 30 minutes. That's how long he would have been driving before they met each other. Yes. If A is equal to the square root of 2 minus 1 and B equals 1, which of the following is equal to that? Okay. So root 2 minus 1 squared is 2 minus 2 times root 2 plus 1. Yeah, because it's x squared minus 2x plus 1. So then we have a squared plus b plus 2a. So we have this plus 1 times 1 plus square root 2 minus 1. Oh, sorry, it's, yeah, plus 2 root 2 minus 2. So that's the left part. So these cancel out. These cancel out. We're just left with 2. So left side equals 2. Then we have b squared, which is 1 plus root 2 minus 1 times a plus 2b. Root 2 minus 1 plus 2. So it's root 2 minus 1 times root 2 plus 1. Which is 1. So it's 1 plus 1. So that's 4 total. We have 2. Left side is 2. Right side equals 2. So it just equals 4. A certain amount of 8% copper ore was mixed with another amount of 3% copper ore, produced 300 tons of 600% copper ore. How many tons of 8% copper ore was used? Makes this amount. So we have 8% X and 3% Y, and it makes 6%. So we need to just figure. So we need to figure out the proportions here, right? So we have, for simplicity, 8n. We're just multiplying everything by 100 for the sake of this entire bullshit. So 8n plus 3 100 minus n equals 6. 8n plus 300 minus 3n equals 6. 5n equals 600 actually. Sorry. That's a total. So it's 8 times some volume n. That's going to be from 0 to 100. Plus 3 times n volume from 0 to 100 equals 6, which is 100, the grand total we have, times 6. So equals 300. So then n equals 60. So you need 60% of this and 40% of this. I think that's correct. So if we have 300 tons total times 0.6, we need 180. So if we do 180 times 0.06 plus 120 times 0.03, divided by 300. Wait, that's wrong. Wait. 0.08 times 60 plus 0.03 times 40. Fuck, okay, wait. 0.06 times... No, oh my god. 0.08 times 60 plus, open parenthesis, 0.03 times 40 equals 6. That's exactly what we expect it to be. So it is 180. So let's just make sure we're doing this correctly. 180 times 0.08 is 14.4. 120 times 0.03 is 3.6. Add that to 14.4. You have 18. 18 divided by 300 is 0.06. 180 is correct. Yes. Ooh. In 1988, Gene's annual salary was greater than Kevin's annual salary. In each of 1999 and 2000, Gene's annual salary was 3% greater than the year the previous year, and Kevin's annual salary was also 3% greater than the year than the preceding year. By what percentage the difference between genes and can you increase from 1998 to 2000? So if we say so we have NA. Well, it would be 3%, right? It would be 3% twice. So it would be 1.03 squared. So it would be 6.09%. That would be the difference between their annual salaries would change the same way, right? Because if I said I have $100, or I make $100,000, and you make $110,000. Use a simple example. 100 times 1.03. Bam, bam. I have 106,090 versus. Well, I could just divide by 100,000 and multiply by 110,000, and I made 116,699, and I can divide that by 106,090. This is 1.1. That's not correct. Well, that's the difference. That's okay. Wait, I want to subtract. Sorry, 116,699 minus 106,090. Sorry, the difference was 10%. Yes, so it's 106,009, and we divide that by 10,000, which is 609%. Okay. Next. 99999 squared minus 1 squared equals what? That would be 999980000. So that is this number well, it's 10 to the 5 times 10 to the 5 minus 2. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, that's correct. Okay, cool. Of the 400 employees in a certain office, 260 have been given a watch and 80 have been given a cell phone. So 400, 260 have a watch, and 80 get a phone. The number of employees who will be given both a watch and a cell phone is half the number who will be given neither a watch nor a cell phone. So we have minus WP divided by 2 equals WP. How many employees will be given a watch but not a cell phone? So we've got a Venn diagram. We have 260, 80, and there's got to be some kind of overlap. So what's the very bare minimum of people who have? Well, we have 400 minus. Well, okay. How many people are given a watch but not a cell phone? Start by how many people have. Well, a watch but not a cell phone. We can see this here. There's 200 people who are given a watch and 80 people given a cell phone. So at the very most, we have 180 people who are given a watch and not a cell phone. At the very, very least. So it has to be one of the bottom answers. In the first case, we're saying that there's nobody who has both, which is 400 minus 260 minus 80, which is 60. But so there's some people who do have a watch and cell phone. Because it's half the number, which means it can't be that. It could be this. I think actually 200 is correct. Because if there is 200 people who have a watch but not a cell phone, then there's 60 people. No, it's this. That's the correct answer. Sorry, it's the other way around. We have 200 people who have a watch and not a cell phone. We have 40 people who have a watch and a cell phone. And we have 40 people who just have a cell phone. Plus 220 makes 300 No, that's not correct, because then there'd be 100 people left over. Is it 200? Okay. So 60 people have been given a watch and a cell phone. That means that there's 20 people who have a cell phone and not a watch, and there's 200 people who have yeah. So if the number of players who have been given a watch and a cell phone is half the number of people given neither a watch nor a cell phone, we just said 60, but there's only 20 people left. That's not correct. Okay, there's 400 people total, minus 220 of them, people who have a watch and not a cell phone. That means there's 40 people who have a watch and a cell phone, and 40 people who have a cell phone but not a watch. That leaves 100 people left over. We said it was 40. It's none of the above. Okay, wait. This is just wrong. What the fuck? I'm so confused. Yeah. So 260 of them have been given a watch. If we have this number, so this number here means that we have 80 people who have both. 400 minus 260 is 140. That's closer to correct. But this can't be correct. I think they're going for this, but that doesn't make sense. That's why we have 110 people. Because it's trying to go for 260 minus 170 to give us 90 people who have both. We're going to be bookmarking this and coming back to it because it does not make sense. This question doesn't make sense. Because, okay, 400 people in an office. 260 of them be given a watch. 80 of them be given a cell phone. That means that there is at least 60 people who have neither. And for every person that has both, there's going to be 60. So 200. Okay. So that makes sense. Okay, I figured it out. We're doing it. I'm getting confused. At a recent sale, Harue bought various numbers of 5 types of school supplies. Markers, pens, pencils, erasers, and notebooks. Each advertises a different pricing strategy. Haru bought 4 markers for the price of 3, 3 pens for the price of 2, 5 pencils for the price of 3, 2 erasers for the price of 1, and 5 notebooks for the price of 2. One of the school supplies was advertised as buy one get one at 50% off. That'd be the 3 to 2. That's the pens. Well, actually, no. That's wait. Sorry. Whoa. Buy one get one 50% off. Oh gosh, I think they're trying to. Okay, that. It's markers, because you buy one and you get a half for free. So you buy 1 and a half. Then you buy 1, you get another half for free. So you get 3. Then you buy 1 more, but you don't get any more after that. It would have to be 4. That's the only, or well, so because you would have bought 5 for the price of 4. This would be so it's 4 for the price of 3. That's markers. Yeah. You buy 1 and a half, and you get 1 for half price. Then buy 1, half price. You spend 3, but you've gotten 4. Markers, 4 for the price of 3. Yeah. That's basically a reduction by okay. That's cool. If x is a k-digit integer and x equals that, what's the value of k? 4 to the power of 9 times 5 to the power of 17. So 5 times 2 is a digit, and we have more 2s than so it would be 17, 18. is the correct answer, because it would be a 1, or a 2 in this case, followed by 17 zeros. Which following value is a value for x for which x to the power of 9 minus x to the power of negative 7 is greater than 0. Well, if it's to the power of negative 9, a negative power is, sorry, a negative power, like to the power of minus 1, is, so like 2 to the power of minus 1 is a half. 2 to the power of a half is square root 2. So we want to have one where, when we put it to the power of negative 9, well, first of all, to the power of 9, we'll make it a really big number. Then we make it negative. Yeah, so negative 1. Well, this is going to be the power of 9 will just give us minus 1. Minus 1 to the power of negative 1 is I. So it's not that. So it can't be a negative number. It has to be a positive number, right? 2 to the power of negative 9, on the other hand, well, this is going to equal 0. 2 to the power of... Yeah, so that one could be correct. I think we're looking at... Oh, but a negative number to the power of a negative number. It's going to be 1 over that. I think it's negative a half. I think that's the correct answer. Because if we have minus 2... Yeah, because to the power of negative 1 is going to be minus 1. But if we had 2, we're going to have... Yeah, so minus 2 to the power of negative 9... Oh man, this is actually a genuinely tricky question. Actually, I think negative 2 is the right answer, right? Because we're going to get... So, 2 to the power of 9 is going to be a big number. Right? But it is greater than 2 to the power of 7. But if we do 1 over that... No, actually, it has to be minus a half. Minus a half. We're going to bookmark this for later, but we're going to come back to it. I think it's minus a half. Promotional video that lost W minutes has 3 segments that last X, Y, and Z minutes. So X plus Y plus Z equals 3. So it equals W. The celebrity host narrates 1/3 of the first segment, a half of the second segment, and a half of the third segment. So X over 3 plus Y over 2 plus Z over 3. If 3x plus 3y equals z, so then we have 3x over 3 plus 3y over 3z over 2 plus z over 3. We have z plus 3z over 2 plus z over 3. So in terms of over 6s, we have 6 plus 9 plus 2z, which is 17 over 6z. And we're saying that z is 1/7 of the entire thing. So it would be, since it's 17 over 6z, and z is a 1/7 of the whole thing, we want to divide that by 7, right? Well, okay, wait. Z is a 1/7 of the entire duration. So we multiply this by 7. Yeah, multiply by 7. Be closer to the correct answer. No, because this is how many portions of 7. No, so okay, it's 17 divided by, or wait, is it 17? Did that correctly? So this is 6 plus, oh, sorry, 3 is over, yeah, so 9 plus 2, yeah, over 3. Yeah, that's correct, right? Oh gosh, okay, I'm getting a little bit confused. I don't know why this is so screwy. So a third of the first segment is Z. Oh, no, because Z is actually not, okay. No, 3x equals 3y equals Z. Z is x and y. You need to triple them to reach. So it's actually a fifth. Z is is 3/5 of the entire time. So we have to do 17 divided by 6 times 3 divided by 5. And we get... Okay, we'll have to come back to this one. I'm going to come back to this one in a little bit. I'm getting a little bit flustered right now, but we're getting... Yeah, because I screwed that one up. It's not 3Z. I screwed up. It's not 3Z. It's the other way around. It's divided by 3. I think that... So if they host half the third segment, which is 3/5, each of them are a fifth. So we have 1/15. We have 1.5/15. And 3 total 15ths, 1/5. I think that's the correct. Oh, come on. Okay, so in terms of 15ths. We're doing this in terms of 15ths. Because that's how much time we have, right? 15ths. If Z, because these are each, yeah. These are each a third of the length of Z. So we've got 15th, 1/15th. Half of a 15th, or half of a fifth, is 1.5. So we have 2.5 15ths, and half of 3/15ths. Or half of, no, 3/5. 9 plus, it's plus 4.5. So you have 7/15ths. That's the correct answer. Okay, cool. We're not going to review that one. That one's correct. A certain identification code consists of 6 digits, each of which is chosen from 1 to 9. The same digit can appear more than once. So the sum of the first and third digits is the fifth digit. So 1 plus 3 equals 5. And the sum of the second and fourth equals 6 digit. How many different identification codes are possible? So we have, well, if it's 9, if they sum to 9, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 different options. We're going to have 4 plus, but same digit can be more than once, plus 4. Because if it's 8, then we have 1, 2, 3, 4. So plus 3 plus 3 plus 2 plus 2 plus 1. There's only one way to do if it's 2. So it's 19. 19 times 19. Right? Because so if the last digit, so if the fifth digit is a 9, then you need to have 1 plus 8. Oh, but then it's times 2, right? So it'd be 361 times 2. No, times 4, which is... It's actually not times 4. Okay, it's the correct answer. It's 12. It's 1296. Yeah. Custom mixture that contains candy-coated chocolate pieces and salted peanuts with a ratio of 2 pounds of chocolate. So 2 pounds of chocolate to 3 pounds of peanuts is $3.80 a pound. If the chocolate pieces cost 2 more per pound than the peanuts, how much do the peanuts cost per pound? $2 more per pound than the peanuts. So, regardless, we have Well, we've got 2/5 of a pound of chocolate versus 3/5 of a pound of peanut per pound. If it's 90 cents, then it'd be 290 times 0.4 plus 90 times 0.6, right? Which is not correct. It needs to be more than that. So then so we could double that. That'd be 3.4. So if it's 2.28, I think it's 260, right? So if it's $2 more pound than the peanuts cost $3 per pound. Yeah, I think 260 is correct, but we're gonna have to bookmark it and come back to it in a second because we're running low on time. When you go window washing service, charge $100 for a setup, an additional $30 per hour for on-site washing. So it's $100 plus a flat. The year the company charges $20 for setup, an additional $50 per hour for on-site washing. Which the following is equivalent to percentage change from last year to this year. The company charges for setup and X hours of on-site washing. So, 20 difference minus 80. Percentage, 100, yeah. So, 100 plus, so 10 plus 3 divided by 20 plus 5. 2 plus 5. So this would be 100 for setup. An additional, so 30x. The top would be 20 plus 50x. So you take the factor of 100 and 2 plus 5x divided by 10 plus 3x. None of these are right. I'm running low, and it says, actually, well, it says I have way less time than I actually do. What the fuck? I don't know why it's like this. I'm so confused. What the fuck? Oh, an additional 50 per hour. Wait, no, there's additional 30 per. Okay, we're gonna come back to this afterwards. And n is the sum of the first 404 prime numbers, then x. Well, it's going to be an even number. So odd plus even is 0. Okay. A washing service charges $100 for setup. It's additional 30 per hour for on-site washing. It's 20 for setup, an additional 50 per on-site washing. This doesn't make sense. What the fuck? Whatever. We're changing that answer. I didn't run out of time, by the way. That time is not correct. Also, why the fuck is this not... Whoops, wrong thing. There we go. Should be like that. So continue exam. Let's start the data insight section of the exam. I'm going to close down Paint. 45 minutes to complete the section, including reviewing and editing answers. If you have time accommodation, your extra time will be noted in the exam clock timer in the upper right-hand corner. Session will be presented with 20 questions. 45 minutes again. Yeah, so this was not 45 minutes. as evidenced by the amount of time that I had there. That is not correct. And I will review the VOD to make sure that I'm not insane, but that's fucked. You prefer you calculating this section only? Sweet. I will pull up a calculator real quickly. Sweet. Source reasoning. Okay, yeah, that's fine. Next. There we go. Okay, cool. Purposes 75 have a balcony. 75 have a balcony. 80 have a fireplace. And 30 have neither balcony nor fireplace. How many apartments in the building have a balcony and do not have a balcony and do not have a fireplace? So there's 150 total apartments in the building. So we have minus 75B minus 70F. 30 do not have either, which means we have minus 45B, but do have F. The balcony and do not have a fireplace, so that will be 30. F plus B. So this is the same one is sufficient. We don't have a balcony, also have a fireplace. Yeah, that's sufficient. So both each statement alone is sufficient. For certain retail store, the pie chart shows the percentage of the last complete fiscal year's total revenue that was generated during each quarter. The bar graph shows for each of the store's 4 salespeople the percentage of each quarter's revenue that was generated by that salesperson. For example, the pie chart shows the store revenue Q1 is 30% of total revenue for the year. Yep. The bar graph shows the salesperson generated 31% of that store's revenue for quarter 1. Well, sure, whatever. So from the drop-down menus, the option that complete the statement that is accurate based on the information provided. The fourth salesperson blank generated the most revenue in quarter 3. Salesperson C, and the revenue generated by the salesperson in question in Q3 constitutes up to the nearest 5%, 35% of the source total revenue generated during that last complete fiscal year. Wait, generated by the salesperson in question 3. Complete. Okay, so 35%, 25% of 35%. It's 16. So okay, wait. So the revenue generated by that salesperson in Q3 is 36% of their entire thing, but it was only 25% of the whole everything. So it's about 10%. But it's 9%, but it's about 10%. Yes. Table ranks the urgency of and local expertise and resources for various actions of a certain nonprofit environmental group is considered in order to address potential local effects of climate change. Higher number indicate greater urgency, greater amounts of expertise, and greater amounts of resources. Principle: when comparing any two actions, X and Y, if X ranks at least as high as Y by all 3 standards and higher by than Y by 1 or more standards, then X will take priority over Y. Okay. Its following actions. Select will take priority over action 4 for each action that, according to the given principle, will take priority over action 4. Otherwise, select might not take priority over action 4. So action 1. So action 4 is 2, 2, 1. Yes, will take priority. Action 2 might not take priority because it's lower in one of the actions. Action 3 greater than might not take action. Because they're both lower in local expertise. For each 21 students, each student test scores was between 0 and 100 inclusive. Was the average arithmetic mean of the 24 scores of the test greater than 75. The median of the 21 test scores was 80. So if we have 80 plus, well, they could all be exactly 80, but plus 10 times that divided by 21. No, does not tell us, so 1's not sufficient. The minimum of the 21 test scores was 70. No. Both statements 1 and 2 together are not sufficient. Because we could have... Oh, actually. Both statements together are sufficient, but neither statement alone is sufficient. Okay, because we could have 70 times 10 plus 11 times 80 divided by 21. It necessarily tells us that the arithmetic mean is greater than 75. So yes, both are sufficient, but neither alone are sufficient. Skyward Airlines offers flights with a service of total 5 cities. Oh gosh, okay. New flight, let's look. Yes, it's based on the information provided. Implementing the line would increase total annual revenue by Skyward Airlines more than 10 million. Otherwise, select no. In the diagram, circles represent 5 cities. Each line connecting 2 circles is a flight line that represents all the direct flights currently offered between the 2 corresponding cities, each of which is called a terminus. For all flights represented by the line. Flights are offered in both directions for each flight line in the diagram, and all flights currently offered by Skyward are represented in the diagram. Label for each flight line shows the duration in minutes of each of the flights between the 2 cities the line connects, followed by the average annual revenue in millions of dollars scattered by Skyward flights of cities. Direct flight is not available between a passenger's departure city and destination city. Transfer passengers may take a sequence of flights to arrive at their destination. The total flight time for each trip is okay. These researchers determine the merits of adding a single new flight line with direct flights in both directions between the 2 service cities. Skyward has projected that adding a new line while making no other changes will reduce the annual revenue provided by all flight lines that share a terminus with the new line by 10%. The table scores information about the 5 proposed flights that have been researched by Skyward. Annual revenue. So 20 million. Okay, line AD. Edmonton, Newark would make 20.1 million, but we would lose 1.8 and 1.7. Yes, you'd profit. AE. Abron to Epster. You would lose 17.6. So 17 or 1.76 plus 3.31 plus 1.87. So you're losing 6.94 for AE, but you're gaining 17.2. Yes, you would make $10 million. And then line BE, you have 18.8, but you lose 3.3. Sorry, minus 3.3 minus 2.73 minus 1.81 minus 17.6 or 1.76. So you go below 10. So then that answer is no for that one. Yeah. The new flight line should have a projected annual revenue of more than $20 million. The implementation of the line should make it possible to travel between any of the 2 currently serviced cities by taking at most 2 flights. For each of the following proposed new lines, if based on the information provided, the line satisfies the requirements, select yes, otherwise select no. So, AD, no. BE and DE would satisfy the other requirements. But now, BE has a projected annual revenue, no. But DE does. We'd like to add a new flight that decreases the minimum total flight time between Cordell and Newark. Cordell and Newark. Okay. Right now, the time is 96 plus 78, which is 174. The budget for the new line has been set as 13 million. But the information provided, which the following lines would minimize the total flight time between Cordell and Newark within the budget constraint. So line AD. Okay, yep, that's fine. So I can only do AD, AE, or DE. So AD would be 63 plus 85. So we have 148. And AE. Oh, it's. There you go. Sorry, paint's not showing. My bad. AE would. Oh, sorry, not A. It wouldn't help. CD, on the other hand, directly from Cordell to Newark, will be 141. Oh, sorry, no, we can't do CD. CD is too expensive. Okay, so we have to do... The ones we have to consider are AE and DE. Right now, we have 96 plus 78, which is 174. That's our target that we have to beat. AE would not do anything to increase the time from Cordell to Dewar. DE, Cordell, Epster to Dewar, will be 57 plus 174. That's way higher. So then AD is the correct answer. Government-funded research should always be accessible to the public. A certain government fund is designed to support research in the humanities and natural sciences. Therefore, this fund should have a requirement that all published work that it supports should be open access, provided free of charge, no restrictions to people with internet access. There are many high-quality open access venues for published works in natural sciences, but very few in the humanities. The requirement would most likely have bad results. That is, most of the fund would be directed towards research in natural science, prevent a significant amount of fund-supported humanities research from being published in high-quality venues. From the options below, select the response to Administrator Q and reply to that response to state. Two statements such as the first, if true, most strongly undermines Q's argument, and the second, if true, is Administrator Q's strongest reply to that response. Merely two selections, one in each column. Although it may result in decreased support for research in certain disciplines, government-funded research should not be accessible to the public. No. The humanities are likely to develop high-quality open-access journals, even if researchers are dedicated to supporting them. If research were open access, more individuals would read the journal than it would read otherwise. In general, requiring that research be published in open-access journals would most likely result in new open-access journals in the field. For some disciplines, open access journals tend to be of lower quality than other journals. So P is saying research should be accessible to the public and therefore should be open access. Q is saying that that there aren't enough open access venues for the humanities, which means it would prevent humanities from being researched. In general, require that research be of new open access journals in the field. That's what I would say. If humanities are unlikely to develop high-quality open access journals, even if researchers are dedicated to supporting them. If research with open access, more interest would read research. For some disciplines, open access journals tend to be of lower quality than other journals. That would be a good reply, saying that, yes, it would open new ones, but it's also of lower quality. But it could also be saying, if research were open access, more individuals would read the research. Okay. The humanities are unlikely to develop high-quality open access journals, even if researchers are dedicated to supporting them. That's a good counter-argument to saying that it wouldn't open them. Yeah. A certain wholesaler supplies goods on a regular schedule to various retailers. A retailer can choose to receive the same number of types of goods on a regular basis without having to submit a new order for each delivery in what's called a standing order. The flowchart represents all the steps in the process for evaluating, accepting, or rejecting a request to edit a standing order with a wholesaler. The process begins with edit terms of standing order up top. Okay, cool. Suppose that G's group of requests evaluated using the process described in the information provided. So the drop-down menus the options to complete the statement so that it most accurately reflects the information provided. If each request in G was approved by accounting, then it must have been the case that X of the request in G included one or more items that were not currently stocked in the warehouse. Request in G was approved by accounting. So yes, you need accounting approval. Then you don't need management approval. All items in edit order currently stocked in the warehouse. If each request in G resulted in items being added to the warehouse stocking list, then it must have been the case that some but not all the requests in G included one or more items that were not currently stocked in the warehouse. a weird question, but I understand what it's going for. Of the people who donated money to a certain local theater last year, a quarter donated $20 or less. So a quarter is less than equal to $20. And 2/3 donated more than 20. Sorry. 2/3, so greater than 20, so 2/3 of P. But less than $1,000. Whoops. So that means that we're looking at in twelfths total. We have 3/12 cheap, and we have 8/12 in between, and we have 1/12 at the end. If the average arithmetic mean amount of donated by people who donate more than $20 less than 2,000 was 180, was the average amount donated by people who donated $1,000 or more? Average amount donated by people who donated less than $1,000 was 112. That does not help us whatsoever for that. Donated by people who donated more than 20 was $360. This, so 2 is sufficient, but something alone is not sufficient. Yeah, this doesn't tell us anything about people who donate $1,000 or more. This does include them, and we have the amount of people who donate more than 20 less than $1,000. That should be sufficient. At the end of your party for employees of a certain company, Martha has been given an opportunity to win as many as 2 prizes. She must draw at random exactly 1 numbered card from each of 2 boxes, each of which in turn contains exactly 6 cards numbered 1 to 6. 1 numbered card from each of 2 boxes, each of which contains exactly 6 cards numbered 1 to 6. The sum of the 2 numbers is equal to 8. Then Martha will win a tablet computer. And if at the end at least one of the numbers is a 2, then Martha will win a smartphone. So the probability that Martha will win a tablet computer is the probability that Martha will win both prizes, but only 2 selections, 1 in each column. Well, if she draws a 1, she loses. 1/6 is a loss, and then 5/6 times 1/6. So we have, so this is the odds that she succeeds. So 5/36. The odds that she wins a tablet computer. The odds that she wins both prizes. Oh, sorry, no, that's not correct. It is, yeah, 5/36 is correct. So, wait, what? Yeah, that it is 5/6. 5/6. Oh, sorry. Okay, yeah. So then she wins both prizes. Well, now there's 5 cases among the 36, and of the 5 cases among the 36, 2 of which include the number 2, which means it's 2/36, which means 1/18 is the odds of both prizes. Yeah. As part of a citywide effort to mitigate daytime traffic, a certain company surveyed its employees about their commuting behaviors. The survey's 2,000 respondents each indicated whether they have used or have considered using the following 5 alternative commuting strategies: public transportation, ride-sharing, shifted work hours, walking or cycling, working off-site. The graph shows for each of these strategies the percentage of respondents who have indicated they used the strategy, the percentage who indicated they had not used the strategy but had considered using it, the percentage who indicated they had neither considered the strategy nor used it. Based on information provided, select from the top-down menu the option that creates the most accurate statement. The number of respondents who indicated that they had neither used nor considered using public transportation was to the nearest 100. So it's 80%. So it's lost 20% of 2,000, which would be 400. Of the 5 alternative commuting strategies represented in the survey, blank had the greatest number of respondents indicating they had considered using that strategy but had not done so. Ride sharing. The 50% participants of a management training seminar ate dinner at a certain restaurant. They had 3 choices for their meal: lasagna for $12. Lasagna is $12. Whoops. Blackened catfish for $15. Or stuffed pork chops for $18. Each participant ordered exactly 1 meal. The total cost of the meals ordered by the participant was $810. And there's 50 people. So we can simplify by just dividing all of these by 3. And we'll get 4, 5, and 6. 810 divided by 50. sorry, not divided by 50. 810 divided by 3 means the sum comes to 270. Okay. Now, for the tricky bit is that we can have 2 of the catfish meals be the equivalent of 1 lasagna and 1 pork. So what we have is, with 50 people, we have a plus 20 extra than we would otherwise consider. So we could have a 0, 30, 20 split, and that would work, right? So 20 times 18 plus 15 times 30 is 810. But every cat could be split into one of these 2. So, 6 more people ordered catfish than lasagna. That will be sufficient for us to tell the answer, because we know how many we have to split across each way. Twice as many pork chop meals were ordered as catfish meals. That also would tell us the correct answer, because it would be every 1 we give to pork chop will be 2 away from catfish. So we get 5 to pork chop. That would be 25 and 20, 30 and 10, 28 and 14. So that will be the answer. It would be 14, 28. Should be giving 8 over, and we've lost 16. So both statements, each statement alone is sufficient. 6 more people ordered catfish than lasagna. So then we just have to bring over enough people to make sure that that ends up working. So if we did 10, but we need to then give back 3. So it would be 7, 16. Nope. 6 people, we have to give over 2. 8, 14, 28. It's the exact same. Each statement alone is sufficient. The rise of electronic medium that disregards geographical boundaries throws the law into disarray by creating entirely new phenomena that cannot be governed satisfactorily by any territorially based sovereign. Because events that occur on the internet are not tied to any particular geographical location, no physical jurisdiction has a more compelling claim than does any other subject to these events exclusively to its laws. Territorial sovereignty is relevant to internet regulation in a straightforward fashion. Internet is not a separate place removed from our world, like the telephone and the telegraph. Internet is a medium through which people in real space in one jurisdiction communicate with people in real space in another jurisdiction. Territorial sovereignty supports national regulation of persons within the territory who use the internet. The main point of disagreement between Professor A and Professor B is whether blank have the ability to regulate blank. Territorial-based sovereigns have the ability to regulate events that occur on the internet. Yeah, okay. It might be activities within jurisdiction, but probably not. A little bit weird. The table lists data on each of the 8 items advertised by an internet retailer on a single web page as part of a one-day sale. The term customer refers to anyone who viewed that web page on that day. For each item, the page placement notes the quadrant of the page on which the item's advertisement appeared. The mean eye time is the average arithmetic mean number of seconds that the customer spent viewing that item's advertisement. The info click percentage is the percentage of all customers who click the button for more information. And the sales rank is that items ranking based on sales, where a lesser number denotes greater sales. For each of the following statements about those data, select yes, the statement can be inferred from the given information, otherwise select no. Info click percentage is directly proportional to mean eye time. No. The 2 items having the greatest sales were advertised on the upper part of the web page. I mean, that is true. Mean eye time was greatest for the item having the greatest info click percentage, and at least for the item having the least info click percentage. That is true. Till left his house at 8:30 and drove to his friend's house, arriving later that morning at 11:30 a.m. How many kilometers did he drive? He stopped twice along the way. It does not tell you. His average speed he was driving was 96 kilometers per hour. Statement 2 alone is sufficient, but statement 1 alone is not sufficient. Actually, no. That's not sufficient. While he was driving, they together are not sufficient. Because we don't know how long he was driving. One of the boxes in the warehouse were arranged in stacks of 8. There are 4 boxes left over. Okay, so we have 8 and plus 4. If there were more than 80, but fewer than 120 boxes in the warehouse, how many boxes were there? So we have 80, 20. If all the boxes in the warehouse being arranged in stacks of 9, there would be no boxes left over. If all the boxes in the warehouse being arranged in stacks of 12, there would be no boxes left over. So a multiple of 9 and 12. 36. So it would be forced to be 108. As that's the only multiple of 36 in that range. But now if they're in stacks of 9, there would be no boxes left over. Is that sufficient to tell us that the answer is 108 flatly? I don't think it is. It actually is, yeah. Actually, I think that is sufficient. Statement 1 is sufficient. Is statement 2 alone sufficient? Because if it's stacks of 9, 81 would not work. 90 would not work. Because that's 2 more, but it has to be 108. So yeah, but if it's stacks of 12, there would be no boxes left over. So 80. Actually, 12. It has to be 84. Could have been 84. That's a multiple of 8 plus 4. So statement 1 alone is sufficient, but statement 2 alone is not sufficient. Okay. For the years 72 to 07, the total war credit market debt as measured in trillions of US dollars is accurately modeled by that equation, whose graph is given. Here, N and K are positive constraints, and T denotes the year. From each drop-down menu, select the option that creates the most accurate statement based on the information provided. The constant N is approximately equal to well, if T is 0, then N would be approximately equal to somewhere in the range of about 3. If the model continues to be accurate beyond 2007, this will approximately double the 2017 value in the year. Well, when did it double here first? We have from 5 here in about 80, probably 1980, to 89. So like 9-ish years, 2016. Let's see if that's correct then. So from like 89 to 97 is about 8 or 9 years. So yeah. And then we're checking again. 2097 to 40 in 2006, which is about, yeah, that's correct. Okay. A committee recently held a planning meeting for a craft fair. The committee decided that the fair would occur on a Tuesday, and the public discussion about the fair would be held sometime after, also on a Tuesday. The table select for fair the number of days between the planning meeting and the fair. For a number of days between the planning meeting and the fair, select for discussion a number of days between the planning meeting and the public discussion that would be jointly consistent with the given information. Make only 2 selections, 1 in each column. So the fair will be on a Tuesday. Public discussion about the fair will be held sometime after, also on a Tuesday. Planning meeting, the fair. The committee recently held a planning meeting for a craft fair. Select for fair the number of days between the planning meeting and the fair. Select for discussion number of days between the planning meeting and the public discussion. So you need to find which numbers are a multiple of 7 apart. So 11, 36, 46, 51, no. 25, no. 35. So the discussion happens first and the fair happens after. Oh no, public discussion about the fair would be after. Okay, so it would be like this. That would work. And then this would be 40, no. 10, 15. So it has to be like this, yeah. So the fair happens first. Fair would be on a Tuesday. Public discussion about the fair would be held sometime after, also on a Tuesday. That would make sense. Next. The cost of a certain school trip was $16 for each child and $24 for each adult. What was the ratio of the number of children to the number of adults on the trip? So 16 for a child and 24 for an adult. Every dollar above a $20 average would indicate more adults, and less would indicate more children. So we don't know the ratio. The ratio of the total cost of the trip for all children to the total cost of the trip for adults was 8:3. That doesn't tell us anything, because it could be scaled up by a large factor. Total cost for the trip for all children and adults together was 2,000. So together that would be sufficient, but individually would not be. Because telling us how much money it costs total could be a ton of adults and very few children, a ton of children and very few adults. But now we have the ratio of the cost, which would in and of itself does not tell us anything, but together does. Cool. And I think I'm done, honestly. And section review. Yep, I didn't have any questions that like jumped out as being obviously screwy. Here we go. Data insights, 99th percentile. Cool. Verbal reasoning, I didn't do great on. Quantitative reasoning, I didn't do great on. But data insights, I did really, really well on. I had some issues with the quantitative reasoning portion, but I'm in the 96th percentile. I will take the 96th percentile grand total. Look at that, 96th percentile. Sweet. Then I got a 675. This course is practice exam. At the very end of the practice exam, you'll be able to view the score report, which provides a extensive overview of the score. Let's each section has more details regarding your performance in that section, including performance time each question, performance by question type, and skills. At the end of the GMAT exam, you'll be provided with similar screen with your unofficial scores of the exam. Stop, your exam is not complete. If you use the physical whiteboard, you must complete your this time. If you use the physical whiteboard, show the front and back of your physical whiteboard to the camera now. Yeah, but that's, yeah. Okay, how to read the score report. So, higher percentile is better. That's based on the median time score calculated for the previous 5 years. Score will not change. Your percentile ranking may change when the new 5-year median is calculated. Section tab, see more information. So, quantitative reasoning. I'm still on the upper portion here, but that's lower than I would like it to be. Data insights. Oh, not a perfect score, but I'm in the way upper end. Pretty happy with that. Yeah, also, thanks, Val. Most recent 5 years. So yeah, I'm upper end for data insights. I'm still above average for the verbal reasoning, but I definitely had difficulty with that. And I'm still a chunk above average for quantitative reasoning. I had some issues with that towards the end because I was running low on time. And I was doing it without a calculator, which is really annoying. Shows my response time in minutes, including any review time for each question of quantitative reasoning. 2 minutes is the average expected time for this section. So, okay. That's funny because you can see towards the end I was going quicker and I was having issues, right? Which section is that? That's yeah, the quantitative reasoning. Yeah, I was making mistakes towards the end because I didn't have enough time to answer them. That's why I was making mistakes. Yeah, that's really funny. Data insights. Ooh, what question was this? Oh, crap. Okay, yeah, I misread what that question was stating. That's fair. Yep. Return to the score report. Data insights. What was the other one here? One at the very, very, very end. Oh, I did this one wrong. No, it's not. Oh, the ratio of the number of children. Ah, because scaling up wouldn't change it. Damn it. Yep, that was. I should have obviously known that. That was. Because the pricing would. Because we have the flat amount of pricing, getting the scaling of the pricing will give us the scaling of the number of people. I said you could scale it up, but they weren't asking for the absolute number. They were asking for the ratio. So yeah, that I was. Should have paid more attention there. In an actual test that I'd be doing like genuinely in person, I'd probably be putting more attention on those questions and doubling back. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with that overall. I 96th percentile for total score. I wish I was higher, but you know, considering that I'm above average on all of these, and I had a really, really good insight score for data insights, I'll take it. You know, not bad at all. So yeah, for total score, we look at the graph here. The mean is 546. I got 675. I don't know what it's totally out of, but oh, 805 is the highest you can get. But 675 is still pretty decent. Puts you in the upper portion. Cool. So if you guys have enjoyed, I'm going to click end on that, and that's pretty much going to be the end then. There's not really much else for me to talk about. Oh, it's showing that. Okay, well, I didn't show anything else interesting. It pulled up the exact wrong window. It was not supposed to open up that one. Glad I didn't show anything of spicy interest there. I don't know why it pulls up. Whatever, it's fine. Thank you all for watching. Hope you guys have enjoyed, and I will see you all next time. A bit of a buggy ending. Cheers, y'all.